Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners, to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. It is the first official Pewter post game of the 2024 season with the Bucs, and what a great way to begin it with a huge 37-20 win by the Bucs, defeating the Washington Commanders in a game where the Bucs, like we hoped for, were able to pull away fairly early in this contest. A great performance by Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and some timely stops by the defense, too. We're going to recap it all on tonight's show. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me live from Raymond James Stadium is the face that runs the place at PewterReport.com. It's SR Scott Reynolds. Scott, how was that atmosphere at Raymond James Stadium, watching the Bucs offense march up and down the field and scoring on almost every single drive when they had the football?
It was amazing, Matt. We talked about Liam Coen's offense and how it's going to be better this year than it was last year with Dave Canales. I've gone on record saying I think 24 points per game is a realistic expectation. Boy, they exceeded that in week one here,
Yeah.
37 points, and they left some meat on the bone too. A couple of those drives could have and should have ended in touchdowns, but this just shows, it sets an early bar, Matt. It shows what this offense is capable of doing. This is a veteran offense with a few newcomers, but boy, these newcomers can play. I thought Graham Barton did a very credible job in not allowing Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne to be game wreckers. I thought he kind of managed that interior with help from Cody Mauch and Ben Bredesen. No, the running game was not exactly perfect, and I think we may have a little bit of controversy brewing already for running back one, Rachaad White.
Yeah.
Disappointing in terms of the number of yards that he got.
As a runner.
Yeah, as a
Receiver,
runner.
he
Certainly
was
as
fine,
a receiver.
but a runner.
No doubt about it. But when you're looking at his rushing total of just 31 yards on 15 carries at 2.1 yard average, and Bucky Irving is just a phenomenal player. 9 carries, 62 yards, a 31-yard breakout run in his first game, averaging 6.9 yards per carry. He made up half of the Bucs rushing total. The Bucs rushed for 112 yards, not exactly as dominant as they wanted it to be. But for Bucky Irving, Matt, I've never seen, and I've been doing this 29 years, I've never seen a rookie have his name chanted, and he didn't even score a touchdown. But there were times, Matt, 2 times, once when he wasn't even on the field, where the crowd was going, Bucky, Bucky, Bucky. He has already made himself a fan favorite, just an electric runner, instant acceleration. But as good as he was, Baker Mayfield really topped the day. 4 touchdown passes. I think that he's been a pretty good investment for these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Matt.
He absolutely has. He's the best quarterback in the NFC South. I don't care what the Saints did today against the Carolina Panthers and Dave Canales. Baker was in his bag today. I mean, that first half, he was 16 of 19 throwing the football, and that included a drop by Jalen McMillan that would have been a walk-in touchdown. But McMillan, of course, had his redemption moment later on in the game. Baker only had 2 bad passes in the game, and one of them, Mike Evans, ended up catching for a huge gain down the right side. And this is what I was hoping for from the Bucs today, because don't get me wrong, the Bucs still need to establish the run, and I think even though Rachaad White had a poor game running the football, I do think Rachaad got into some tough situations where there was a lineman 3 yards in the backfield before Rachaad could even get it going. The beauty of this run game overall, though, and I hope Bucky Irving's role expands, but the beauty of it is there is room for this Bucs team for both running backs to shine. I said it before. I think Rachaad White is going to be like an Alvin Kamara, and he had a big impact on the game today in the passing game, even though it was screens and things of that nature. Rachaad White had his imprint on the game, and then when the Bucs wanted to salt it away later on, it was Bucky Irving ripping off run after run and doing a great job there. But like you said, Baker Mayfield was the story of today's game, and Mike Evans as well. And the point I was trying to make earlier is, yes, the Bucs do need to get better at running the football and even pass protection too, because let's face it, Baker was Houdini out there. I keep calling him Houdini. He was escaping, making all these great things. The pass blocking has to be better too. But I mean, we knew the weakness of the Commanders was in the secondary, and the Bucs exploited it from their first drive of the game up until Kyle Trask came in to start taking knees. They knew that's where they had the advantage. They kept going to Mike Evans. Chris Godwin was fantastic today.
He was, yes.
So from a passing game, and there was so much more positive than negative in this game, and we should focus on the positive in a game where they won 37-20. These wide receivers came to play, and I think, this is just the beginning of how this passing game is going to look throughout the season for Tampa Bay if the offensive line can do their job and let Baker enjoy sitting back in the pocket and not having to run for his life occasionally.
Yeah, man, I wrote about Liam Coen in an SR's Fab 5 right at the start of training camp. I had that pre-camp sit down with Todd Bowles, and Bowles pretty much, now I'm not quoting him, I'm paraphrasing, but Bowles pretty much indicated that Liam Coen was on his level as a play caller, right? And we know that Dave Canales went through some real growing pains last year as a first-time play caller at any level. And you know, Matt, I think we saw some of the same issues with Dave Canales last year in Tampa Bay that we saw with Zach Robinson in Atlanta, who again came from that same Sean McVay offense, but only put up 10 points today with a litany of weapons. Now we're talking Drake London, we're talking about Kyle Pitts, the running back tandem of Tyler Algier and of course Bijan Robinson and Kirk Cousins at quarterback. I mean, I thought the Falcons were supposed to win the NFC South. They put up 10 points against the Pittsburgh defense.
Steelers defense is good, but I agree. 10 points in the debut is bad.
But we talked about it all last month, in the month of August with Liam Coen. He has 2 years worth of play calling experience at NFL Junior, which is the SEC. It's the hardest conference, the toughest conference in college football, going up against the likes of Alabama and Georgia and LSU and Auburn and Tennessee and those defenses. And you can just see the experience come to fruition in terms of the play calling, the sequencing. I mean, the third down conversions were insane for this team right out of the gate. You're talking about a Bucs offense that only had the starters out there for one series in the preseason, and to execute like they did at a clip of 9 of 13 third down conversions, 69.2%, and then scoring on all but just 1 or 2 drives, Matt? I mean, it was insane. This virtuoso type performance that Baker Mayfield has, and he's in sync with Liam Coen. And I'm not saying they're going to score 37 points each week. This was a rebuild Commanders defense.
Yes.
It has some good pieces, but this is not a playoff team this year. We're going to get a much better indicator of how good or maybe great this offense is next week when they go to Detroit and go against a top-notch, upper echelon Dan Campbell type defense. But so far, so good for this Bucs team.
Yeah, and I think something that was really important for the Bucs offensively, and I think something where we saw a little bit of a difference with the experience of Liam Coen versus Dave Canales, who, as we already said, first year as a play caller last season with the Bucs. This year, and the Bucs had a distance with their lead for a majority of the game. There was maybe one window of opportunity where the Commanders could have gotten back into the game, and it was after they scored, and then the Bucs went 3 and out in the third quarter. And we saw that a little bit last year, where the Bucs would have a lead, but they get conservative. They worry too much about chewing the clock and establishing the run game, which wasn't working.
Right.
And the Bucs went 3 and out, and I believe the Bucs were able to get a stop after, which obviously helped in that situation. But even if they didn't, the Bucs went right back out and continued to move the football and make the big plays. And I think that was all the difference. The 3 and out was just a brief hiccup. It wasn't a turning of the tides in the second half, which we've seen before. It was just a blip on the radar of a team that was moving the ball up and down. And you know what? Week 1, many weird things can happen. We saw the Bengals lose to the Patriots today. Dallas looked fantastic against the Browns. The way that the Falcons lost today. So
Yeah.
it's still important to take care of business when you are the clear-cut favorite. And this game was never close by the second half. I think the
Right.
Bucs did a great job of just establishing their dominance against Washington. That's what we all expected, and they lived up to those expectations. So it's a job well done
Yeah.
by this Bucs team.
I
Loved what we
agree.
saw
And Matt,
from the skill possession players on offense for the Bucs.
to your point about the second half, they put up 21 points, right? They scored 37, and 21 of those came in the second half. 6 points in the first quarter, 10 points in the second quarter, 7 points in the third quarter, 14 points in the fourth quarter. That's consistent scoring. That's every single week, or every single quarter this week, the Buccaneers scored points. And I thought that was very well done. It's just a tremendous balanced attack, first half, second half, getting things done by this Liam Coen offense.
Yeah, we got a number of super chats to get to, so let's start it rolling. We'll obviously talk about the Bucs defense too, and what we thought about their performance against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders' offense, and got to talk some injuries as well. But let's start rattling off some of these super chats. We appreciate you guys so much. We know it's kind of late on a Sunday, and people got to go to work tomorrow, but I think you're all hyped up as well that the Bucs came out and played the way they did today. So let's start off with MM Dre. Thank you for the $2 super chat, who says, "What's up, guys? Bucky looked great." Yeah, hopefully that's a sign of things to come. And yeah, it may be one of those situations where Rachaad White is the quote-unquote starter, but the guy that's going to be toting the rock is going to be Bucky Irving. And it's not exactly a thunder and lightning type of thing. Maybe it's more of a sugar and spice type of situation with Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. But like I said before, I think it's a way for both of them to really function in the offense. And we kind of saw how that'll work out when things are going the right way for them today.
Yeah, and this is just week one. I mean, it wasn't pretty, right, with the running game on every single, down for sure. Give credit to Washington's front seven. That was the vibe I got in the locker room. This front seven with Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, the two defensive tackles inside. Leland Farrell actually gave Tristan Wirfs some fits, right? Dorrance Armstrong. It's not a bad group. It's a pretty good defensive front that did cause some problems. So I think that for a rookie center making his first NFL start and going wire to wire, right? I mean, he played bits and pieces of the preseason games, but not a full game. Ben Bredesen, a new left guard, playing next to Tristan Wirfs. I'm happy with this week one effort. It didn't look pretty at the beginning, but certainly in the second half, the Buccaneers run game was able to get things going.
Thanks to Spider-Man for this $1.99 super chat. Sticking with the theme of running the football. Bucs have a run game. Think I'm going to cry. I don't know if they have a run game just yet, because Bucky really got it going late in the game when I'm not saying the Commanders quit by any means, but I imagine their morale was low. The game
they get out of reach.
The game was kind of out of hand. It's hot and humid in Tampa at that point. So I don't know how much it was great by Bucky, and there's things that we can point to that say this is how it could be moving forward. But I think we also have to understand a little bit the context of the game at the moment.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Meets McGee, thank you for a $2 super chat, who says, "Evans, Godwin, Jalen, White, and Bucky, good luck."
Yeah, we talked about it several times this offseason and this summer. Go back to 2020 and 2021, where you have a full complement of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, a competent wide receiver 3, which back in the day was Antonio Brown. Oh, and a playmaker at tight end, and Rob Gronkowski, and then a running back and playoff Lenny when he was kind of at his peak. This was a tough offense to stop. It was an offense that with Tom Brady averaged 30 points per game in 2020 and 2021. And I think they've got the pieces. They're different. There's no Antonio Brown. There's no Gronk on this team yet. But that's not to say that Jalen McMillan can't become a star here in Tampa in time. Bucky Irving may be the same way. There's just a lot of good weapons for Baker Mayfield to throw to. He's got the maturity and the sense to throw to the open guy and distribute the ball and let those guys make plays. So the more weapons, the better for Baker. Everybody's back from last year. And then, as you said, they added Jalen McMillan, they added Bucky Irving. And it's a smorgasbord of weapons and options for Baker to throw to.
It's funny because we talked a lot about how Trey Palmer with his speed could be the guy that's really going to, take the top off of the defense, but Jalen McMillan was the guy going deep on several plays.
Yeah.
Like obviously he had the drop early, which was unfortunate, but he drew a pass interference penalty later on in the game, and then of course had the touchdown, his first catch and his first touchdown of his career. So Jalen McMillan turning out, at least for this game, to be the guy that was going deep down the field. And part of that was designed by Liam Coen. So thank you to Joel L. Regan for this $2 super chat. Also a Pewter Report YouTube channel member who says, I'm part of the Coen crew. Go Bucs. I like that. I like that little nickname for Liam Coen. And I think that crew is going to grow bigger with the performance that the offense put up tonight.
No doubt about it.
KGH for life with this $5 super chat who says, should there be concerns with the interior of the offensive line? It seems nothing changed.
This is week one. You got to pump the brakes a little bit. Yeah, Baker Mayfield, did have to scramble sometimes, but that's to be expected. I mean, again, give some credit to Washington's defensive front. Dan Quinn is no joke. I mean, he knows what he's doing as a defensive-minded coach. So I thought Baker did a great job of escaping. No, it wasn't always a clean pocket, but you look at the numbers. Was the pressure effective? What did they sack Baker one time? And his numbers were 24 of 30, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, and sacked one time. And Baker had nothing but praise for the offensive line. Of course, he's not going to do anything to throw him under the bus or anything, but he just said, no, this is a very good performance. And yes, Bredesen and Malk and Graham Barton did play more in the preseason than Tristan Wirfs and Luke Edeke did. But give this offensive line time, all 5 of them, to play games together. And I think we're gonna see a much better performance in the run game and in pass protection. Pass protection is very much like pass rush. It's not 5 fingers, it's a fist. They have to work in concert. There is spacing, there's timing in terms of your steps and your blocks, and whether it's the run game or pass protection, it's just going to take a little bit of time. Nobody's Super Bowl ready in week 1. That's just not how it is. But I think for the Buccaneers to put 37 points up, this offensive line was not bad by any means. To run for 112 yards, this offensive line run blocking was not bad by any means. Can it get better? Sure. Was it what they wanted it to be? No. But it wasn't bad either, right? I mean, we've seen what bad looks like. We've seen the 10-yard rushing performance a couple years ago. We've seen it under 50 yards. No, 112 yards. There were some running lanes, and these running backs took advantage of it.
Yeah, offensive line is always one of the biggest positions where when you go back and watch the tape, you kind of have a better answer of like who played well and what was the best performance. So off the top of my head, like I think I'm about to sneeze. I was fine with Graham Barton and how he played. Cody Mauch got beat horribly on one play where Baker had to run for his life. So I'm not saying Cody Mauch's going to be a concern, but overall, I thought the offensive line was average. I would give, if I was grading them, I'd give them a C, which is fairly average, as a grade. I do think that line will grow. I don't think it's a major concern. I think it's a concern, next week against Detroit, but I don't think it's a storyline that throughout the whole year is going to be something that continues to act up.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, and we've talked about it, and trust me, I'm not besmirching Tristan Wirfs. I know sometimes that's kind of sacrilege because we all love Tristan. He's a great guy. He's literally one of the best offensive tackles in the game. He's like a top 3 tackle. But if we're being honest and objective, and I don't think Tristan would have any issue with me saying this because the film doesn't lie, Matt, there were a couple of training camp reps where he lost, where he got beat. I mean, Marquise Watts beat him clean around the corner one time. Chop Robinson came here and just rocked him with a bull rush that he wasn't expecting, got him up on one leg. Tristan Wirfs is not invincible. He's still taking some time to learn this left tackle, and I think he's going to get better as a left tackle. Remember, he played right tackle at Iowa with the exception of a couple games. And he went wire to wire at left tackle last year. But this is a guy that has years of experience at right tackle at Iowa and years of experience at right tackle in Tampa Bay. Still dominant, still learning how to play that position and still doing it well. Don't get me wrong. He's still a phenomenal left tackle, but he is not invincible. There are going to be some reps where he's going to get beat. And you don't like to see it against a guy like Cleveland Farrell. But it's going to happen. And I'll just say this too. Again, we talked about Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne being the strength of that Washington defense. So if Cody Mack's going to get beat, who did he get beat by? Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen?
Yeah,
There's no shame in that, right? These guys are good players. They're Pro Bowl caliber guys.
There was one weird play with Tristan Wirfs. It was like a run play that I believe it was either Rashad or Bucky, obviously.
I think it was Rashad who got bottled up.
Yeah, for like 4 yards. And they showed the replay, and Tristan it looked almost like a zone blocking play because Tristan just went to his left, and the defender cut in the gap that Tristan wasn't even supposed to be at. So, that was an odd one. But, he's not perfect, and it's a
Tristan Wirfs played what? 8 snaps in the preseason, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, they still scored 37 points.
Exactly.
They still scored 37 points. Meets McGee, $5 super chat. Also a Pewter Report YouTube channel member who says, "Wait till the second half of the season. The offensive line will be a lot better. Hell, the entire offense will be better." Well, the offense is better than 37 points in their opener. That is a heck of a outlook for the Bucs this season. Thanks to Michael for this $1.99 super chat who says, "Can Coen just be the head coach already? LOL."
Listen, I love Liam Coen. We know that Todd Bowles is a bit of a kingmaker, right? He's already had one offensive coordinator leave and become a head coach. We'll see what the future holds for Liam Coen, whether he stays in Tampa and eventually replaces Todd Bowles, or whether he's just so good like Dave Canales, where he bails after 1 year and gets a head coaching job. We'll see. We do need to talk about the defense for a little bit. We're going to get back to these super chats, but we do have some news to kind of get to. It is not good. We need to kind of update this injury report here because the Buccaneers were down to one cornerback in this game. Zion McCollum was lost to a concussion early when he tried to make a tackle and got his bell rung. Bryce Hall, who came in to replace him, left on a cart with that right leg in an air cast. That's not a good sign. And it was reported to be an ankle or lower leg injury. Might be a fracture of some kind. At least that's how they treated it with the air cast, just in case there is a fracture. This looks like at least short-term IR, if not long-term IR, maybe season ending for Bryce Hall. And what does that do for Tampa Bay's depth? Well, it makes it very scarce. Tyrek Thunderberg was inactive today. He will be active next week for sure. Christian Izien, Chris Crafty had to play some cornerback for the first time since his sophomore year in high school. That's right. Christian Izien, although he played some slot, he played some nickel cornerback last year, wire-to-wire starter, 19 games. But that's on an island. That's in the middle of the field. That's not on the boundary or the outside of the field from the sidelines to the numbers. But he came in there, and he said, Todd Bowles and Kevin Ross, the cornerbacks coach, came up to me at halftime and said, because at that time, Josh Hayes had gone out with an ankle injury, who's their gunner. So they just warned him, like, hey, we're down to 2 healthy corners, Bryce Hall and, of course, Jamel Dean. Be ready. And not a couple moments into the third quarter, Bryce Hall goes down with the most serious injury of the day. And Christian Izien had to go in and play corner. Actually had a pass breakup, and I thought played exceptionally well for being thrown in the fire. He has played safety. He's played nickel at both Rutgers and Tampa, but not outside corner. So hats off to Christian Izien for a command performance, having to step in as an emergency cornerback and play on the outside.
Given the circumstance that went on, it was a great job by Christian Izien, and that pass breakup he had, I believe, was on third down, so was able to get the Bucs defense off of the field. So
also too, I'm sorry, before I forget, and I meant to say this, I want to get it out before I forget it. Antoine Winfield Jr. had a boot on after the game. I know it's not people want to hear, but he was walking around. Spirits seemed to be high, and the Buccaneers, Bobby Slater, the vice president of the the head trainer for the Buccaneers, vice president of sports medicine, he's cautious sometimes. If guys have a twisted ankle or any type of foot injury, he'll put guys in a walking boot to kind of take some of that pressure off and not have the ankle flex and all that stuff. So Winfield was walking out of the locker room in a boot tonight. And I don't know what that means for the rest of this week in terms of his practice time or his availability for Sunday against the Lions. We'll see. But right now, As good as you want to feel about this offense, Matt, this defense being down so many defensive tackles, being down so many cornerbacks now, this is not the team, the Detroit Lions, that you want to play with Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta and just the different weapons they have, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. This is not the team you want to be shorthanded on defense playing. But you know what? That's what the schedule dictates, and they're going to have to go up to Detroit in week 2, and maybe you hope and pray that Zion McCollum has a mild concussion and he can come back. But Tampa Bay might have to score 37 points next week on offense to have a chance of beating Detroit with the way this defense is absolutely banged up at the cornerback and the defensive tackle position right now.
Right. Let's remember, before the Bucs even hit the field on Sunday afternoon, Logan Hall and Kalijah Cansey weren't playing. So they already had to overcome that adversity. They lost Levante David briefly for a little bit. He did come back. And then all of the injuries that you mentioned. The Bucs offense may have to be the one that brings the team along over the first couple of games of the season, especially next week against Detroit. And isn't it a little ironic, Scott, that of all the injuries that happened to players in the secondary, Jamel Dean was the one that came out unscathed and played the entire game, just given his overall injury history. But yeah, again, shout out to Christian Izzian for coming in a pinch. He seems to be Mr. Week 1. He had a big Week 1 last year in Minnesota, getting the interception. And then played a big role, obviously, in today's game. Tyreek Funderburk, we'll get a good look at him for sure. But yeah, it's a huge concern, especially when you just mentioned Antoine Winfield Jr., and hopefully it's a cautious thing. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's a major, major concern for the Bucs moving forward. Thank you to Philip Stegman for this $9.99 super chat, who says, I cashed out $500 on a 10-leg parlay.
Wow.
Go Bucs. Celsius on me, boys. Philip, I love hearing other people winning their bets, so I'm very, very happy for you. Hopefully, you took some of my picks from Pewter Picks and Props, because I hit Bucs minus 3.5, Bucs team total over of 23.5, Rachaad White over 20.5 receiving yards, Mike Evans over 4.5 catches. He got it on that second touchdown, which was a thrilling moment. Over on Baker Mayfield passing yards of 248.5. So I had 5 winners for the Bucs. The only one I didn't hit, and it was a long shot anytime touchdown, was Bucky Irving touchdown. We'll probably get that one soon. But yeah,
Matt,
Philip said Celsius on me. Yeah, Philip said Celsius on me. This is a perfect time to talk about Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. Check out some of their newest flavors, the sparkling watermelon lemonade and the sparkling kiwi strawberry. Tons of great flavors. If you need to know where to find a Celsius energy drink, go to the Celsius store locator, punch in your address, and tell you the closest location where you can pick one up. Could be a Walmart, a health and fitness store, a Stop and Shop, or a Publix, or your bodega.
Bodega.
And what's keep going to your bodega? You know you love Celsius and you want more. You can buy it in bulk over on Amazon with the subscribe and save. I'd recommend purchasing the variety pack, because variety is the spice of life. And you can have it sent to your place of residence whenever you want. You're in charge. You're the captain. Just make sure you drink the Celsius energy drinks, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Had my Celsius today. It certainly looked like Liam Coen had his Celsius as well. I'm not sure if he drinks Celsius, but he was certainly fueled by it. Kentucky, though, not so much. As Jonas Goria says with the $4.99 super chat, to SR's point, I watched Kentucky against South Carolina, and boy, they got waxed at home by the Gamecocks. On Saturday, UK could not get past midfield. Coen might be him. Yeah, I think Coen is him. Just had a really good feeling about him, Matt. We watched him. We watched this offense. We listened to the press conferences. Sometimes it's all talk, right? I mean, Dave Canales talked a good game. He's a great communicator, but it's got to convey, right? The words have to match the actions, etc. And you just had this sense of confidence about Coen and the way he talked, and you could just see when he was talking, you could visualize the offense that he had in mind as he's talking through it at these press conferences. And then again, as I mentioned, to hear Todd Bowles with a huge seal of approval from what he saw during minicamp and the OTAs already, and hadn't even gotten a training camp yet. Now we're seeing this Liam Coen offense really come to life and put points on the board. And this is going to be a fun year on offense. There's no doubt about it. This team stays healthy on offense. There's no reason why this team can't score 24 to 30 points per game for sure.
I'm pretty positive that Liam Coen is happy to be out of Kentucky at the moment.
Dave Canales may not be happy to be in Carolina, though.
He may be missing. He may be missing the Bucs right now, but no, that's Liam Cohen's job now.
Yep.
Thanks to Lord Missoula for this $2 super chat, who says 9 of 13 on third downs, efficiency. That's how you win. Yeah, they kept drives going, and they converted a lot of those drives too. It wasn't like the first third down they got on the 3rd and 1. They were helped out by a penalty, but a lot of those other ones was just moving the ball, completing the pass, avoiding the sack, whatever it was. So, job well done, including I think Evan's second touchdown was on a 3rd down as well. So just another one to add to it. Just a super, super productive day by the Buccaneers offense.
Totally agree. The super chats keep coming. We're going to keep putting them up.
Yeah. Desert Dog 2K. Thanks for the $5.01 super chat, who says, great week 1 win and great to see the best post-game analysis in the business is back. Keep up the great work, y'all. Thank you very much, Desert Dog, for the kind words. Shout out to your Longhorns. A nice win against Michigan on Saturday afternoon. It was the noon game. But love doing this Peter post-game show. It's more fun when they win. You guys are more hyped up. Everyone's in a good mood. The Bucs are undefeated. I'm pretty sure Baker Mayfield has to lead the league in touchdown passes. I don't know any other quarterback that threw for 4 touchdowns. And Mike picking up where he left off near the lead of touchdown receptions as well. Thanks to Joshua Finland for this $4.99 super chat, who says, with all the injuries at corner, does Jason call some of those free agent defensive backs?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to make a move because Bryce Hall, like I said, at the very least is going to be on short-term injured reserve. When you leave on a cart with an air cast, that's not a good sign. It's one thing to be helped off the field with the trainer. It's another thing when they call the cart out. And we saw the Bucs training staff rush quickly out to the field with the air cast and get that around Bryce Hall. And you can see by the look on his face. And he played pretty well during his time out there.
He did.
Filling in for Zion McCollum. He was certainly a credible Bucs cornerback for a minute, and you'd hate to see his season end, but we'll see what the test results are. We'll find out more tomorrow for sure. So make sure you stay tuned to pewterreport.com and our X account at Pewter Report. We'll have all of the latest injury news for you there. But yeah, they're going to have to sign a corner to replace Bryce Hall, even if he's on short-term injury reserve. That'll be 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw it when Ernest Brown went on IR, the defensive tackle, and then with Logan Hall being out, they signed a defensive tackle. And so expect that with the cornerback position, and they'll probably have to play next Sunday, just given the situation that the Bucs are in. Thanks to the super chat from Paul Morales, $1.99 with interesting question / statement. One word to describe this win. Scott, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first. To me, I'm going to use the word explosive for 2 reasons. Number one, the Bucs offense was explosive. We saw some explosive plays, the 31-yard run by Bucky Irving, the touchdown passes, all 4 of them by Baker Mayfield. Just the level of explosiveness, and this offense is just getting started. Doesn't mean they're going to score 40 points next week or whatever. They might come back down to earth a little bit against a very tough, formidable Lions defense. Having said that, I think that this offense will build and grow together and be a much better product later in the year than even they are right now. But the other explosive element of this is Jaden Daniels. I got to give this guy props because he's legit. He's got a different level of speed. And I can really say this from being a Pop Warner defensive coordinator, because there's always that one kid, and you hope he's on your team, but there's always that one kid, that one athlete that is just faster than everybody. He's just a blur in the field, right? And you'd have to game plan against that. And again, we had a kid our last year, who was like, actually we had a couple kids like that, where it just men amongst boys. And this guy's speed is unreal. And I know that there might be some out there that criticize the Buccaneers for not containing Jaden Daniels and not or allowing him some of those escape lane rushes, the scrambles. I talked to Yaya Diaby after the game. Yaya runs a 4.51, and he says, "I'm fast. This guy is next level fast." I talked to Servassier Dennis, who actually got his first sack in the NFL. And it was a trophy sack. It was a sack of Jaden Daniels, and he had some help because the pocket was collapsing. Yeah, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Levante David, and Servassier all kind of converged, and Servassier got there first. And he said, "Man, we had Michael Pratt who could move around a little bit as our scout team quarterback, but nobody could prepare us for the speed that Jaden Daniels has." And so keep that in mind too, that this guy is the fastest quarterback in the NFL. He's faster than Lamar Jackson in terms of his elusiveness, his acceleration, and everything. He's on another level. So you can nitpick the Buccaneers and criticize them a little bit for letting this guy get out for 88 yards. At the end of the day, that didn't hurt the Buccaneers. That was not fatal for Tampa Bay's defense. They'd much rather, as Todd Bowles said, I'd much rather have him scramble and run for his life, which he had to do a couple of times, run for his life, than sit back in the pocket all comfortable and hit Terry McLaurin for touchdowns. And so you kind of have to pick your poison. And I think that they would have rather had the game play out this way. Tampa Bay held the Commanders to just 20 points, including a late touchdown as a result. But Jaden Daniels is explosive. What's your word, Matt?
I'm torn between two that start with an E, but I'm going to go with encouraging. My other thought was expected, but I think it's encouraging because the offense put up so many points, but it also was expected that they should have routed Washington today. So that's why I'm kind of torn in between those two. But it's encouraging because while the offense put up 37 points, it could have been more based on some of the mistakes that this team had and everything that we talked about the offensive line. So we don't necessarily have to rehash it. But to your point about Jaden Daniels, I don't think it would be nitpicking to say that their gap containment in the first half was a bit frustrating for sure. But to the Bucs' credit, I thought in the second half, they did a much better job, especially early when the game was still close and Washington wanted to tie the game up or make it a one-possession game. They truly did a great job of kind of keeping him somewhat in the pocket. And again, he's a good passer. Like if he would have hit Terry McLaurin on that deep ball, we could be talking about a little bit of a different game. Actually, I'm going to change mine to expected. But anyway.
Okay.
But outside of the deep ball to Terry McLaurin, everything else was, short, intermediate, none of those chunk plays. So when he was running, it was out of necessity. There were a couple of design runs, and he scored a touchdown on a design run. But really, it was like, I can't wait for the Bucs to play the Falcons now because, Yaya Diaby didn't get home, and there were a couple of times where Jaden Daniels just escaped the clutches of the Bucs pass rush and the blitzes. But when Kirk Cousins is standing back there, or really almost any other quarterback that they go up against this year outside of Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts, that pass rush is going to get home. So I think they did a great job of adjusting in that second half, especially with all the injuries in the secondary.
I remember Warren Sapp telling me a long time ago, and again, it's very similar to the offensive line analogy I talked about, earlier in the show. An offensive line and the defensive line, it's not, five guys. It's not five fingers, or in this case, if you're a four-man rush, four fingers. It's the fist. You have to come together because if you try to just poke somebody like this, you're going to break your fingers. But if you have a fist, that's where you can knock somebody out. And that's how this pass rush has to work. And we saw that in the second half a little bit better than we did in the first half. Keep in mind, this was supposed to be Yaya Diaby, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Kalijah Kancey, Vita Vea, and Greg Gaines is not a pass rusher by any means. You also saw Mike Green in there and CJ Brewer. Those aren't pass rushers. So there was a little bit of a hodgepodge. Will Golson's not a pass rusher at age 34 or 33. it was a little disjointed. Yaya Diaby missed the entire preseason. He said he felt it today. He's like, I felt like I missed the preseason. I was off a little bit. And you have to get that timing down, the spacing with your rushes, so you can collapse the pocket and come together around the quarterback. It was a little bit too much of a fingered prong type of approach rather than that fist. And I think, again, like the offensive line, as this defensive line plays together more, you will see a more cohesive pass rush and more collapsing of the pocket the way it's supposed to be.
Thanks to Nostalgic Collector for this $1.99 super chat. It says, Atlanta winning this division? Laughing emoji. What a joke. Hashtag go.
It's only week one, though, folks. As great as this win was, as bad as the Falcons played in week one, Atlanta's going to win some games. Tampa Bay is going to lose some games. I don't think Tampa Bay is going 17-0. I would be happy to be wrong, and you would love to point that out if that's the case. And I'm happy to say I'm wrong, should they go out there and do something amazing like that. But this is week one. We need to kind of see how this plays out. But better, Matt, to start the season 1-0 than 0-1 like Atlanta.
Oh, of course. And, I think we have to remember Tom Brady's first start with the Bucs in 2020. They lost in New Orleans. They ended up being okay. They won the Super Bowl. The Bucs started out great last season. They won their first couple of games. They were 3-1 going into the bye. And then they lost 6 of 7. And they were able to turn their season around. But 24-hour rule, as every head coach and every college coach and really every football coach across America likes to say.
Here's some bad news. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Here's some bad news, Christopher Oxentine. And I think you're probably getting this from Greg Allman, who just tweeted this out. And I'll read Greg's tweet here. Bucs cornerback Bryce Hall, who left today's game with his right leg in an air cast, dislocated his ankle and fractured his fibula. It's the same injury he sustained at Virginia, but in the other leg. Tough break in his Bucs debut, literally. Tough break. He will be put on season-ending injured reserve. That was the injury that knocked him out of his senior year for the Cavaliers. Terrible injury, and it sucks because Hall. Todd Bowles loved Bryce Hall. He called him one of the smartest corners on this team. So he will go on injured reserve, and then you're going to see the Bucs have to make a move here, a transaction to sign another cornerback.
Tyreek Funderburg, come on down. He just moved up the depth chart because of it. And, we saw last year when it was Carlton, Jamel, Zion McCollum was of the utmost importance to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now the Bucs lose their CB3. So a big opportunity now for Tyreek Funderburg, and very unfortunate for the Bucs again with Zion McCollum also out. So keep an eye on the waiver wire, all that good stuff, because the Bucs are going to be active in that area. And shout out to Sacktown, who's been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 1 month now, and using the Let's Effin' Bake emoji. People are saying during the show that the Bucs should trade for Carlton Davis, which would be kind of funny.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. We're I think 70 subscribers now, or not subscribers, but YouTube channel members. So we really appreciate all the support. If you can, it's another great way to show your support for Pewter Report. Become a channel member. You get some really cool perks. We have membership starting at $3.99. They get you those loyalty badges and the custom emojis. If you want to level up to become a Pewter Pro member, you get early access to videos such as my Pewter Pulse and Matt's Pewter Picks and Props. And other videos we're going to be putting up as well. Pewter Premier members also get our Pewter Insider, our exclusive Q&A video that we do on Fridays at 1:30. And we had some great inside scoop delivered on this Friday's show as well, in addition to weekly shout-outs and all of the other perks that you see there. For $24.99, you can be a Platinum member. A Pewter Platinum member also gets all of those perks, some free PR merch after a couple months, and twice a year, including this offseason coming up in January, March, or I should say January, February, and then again around training camp time, we're going to have 2 annual Pewter Platinum member meetups in Tampa with Bucs personnel. So it'll be a great kind of exclusive event for you if you want to meet some members of the Buccaneers, as well as the Pewter Report staff. These are great ways that you can join Pewter Report. And if you want to find out how to do it, just hit the join button on the front page of Pewter Report TV, or you can click in the description of this video and you'll have that information to do that. We appreciate your support.
Absolutely. And thanks for the support with the super chats as well. Thanks to Salty Buccaneer with a $1.99 super chat who says, which corners on the free agent market fit Tampa Bay's system best?
I don't have that answer off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure outside of Xavier Howard who's really available at corner at the moment, but something we'll dive into. Who knows? Maybe we'll end up doing a story or a video on pewterreport.com as someone who has the best fit. Appreciate the question, but don't really have an answer just yet at the moment, but I will do some digging. Thanks to Hizo813, who's been a member for 1 month, the Pewter Report YouTube channel member, and I'd say one of our most active participants and contributors when it comes to the Pewter Report live Q&A, the Pewter Insider, every Friday. So very much enjoy interacting with you, Hizo813. Happy 1 month of membership to you. And Hizo813 says, supporting Pewter Report, being a premier member is the least I can do to show appreciation for all the hard work you guys do for the fans. That means so much to me. Thank you so much, Hizo813, for the very kind words. And we're going to continue to kick ass, take names, and rock and roll because this is only the beginning of the season and should be a lot of fun as the season goes along. As Sacktown also responds with hit the thumbs up, hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds to do so.
Here's another thing we want you to do too. And I know a lot of you Buccaneer fans out there have wanted Pewter Report to get an app for a long time. We're just not going to do it. We don't have to, because our friends over at Autograph basically have created a Pewter Report app. It's just called Autograph, fandom rewarded. You can read Pewter Report's content plus other Bucs news sources as well. And if you've got a college football team like my Kansas State Wildcats, for example, I get all my Kansas State news in the Kansas State feed on my Autograph app. Now, here's the best part about Autograph. It's free to download and free to use. All you have to do is go to the Apple Store if you have an iPhone and download Autograph Fandom Rewarded. You can do the same thing with Google Play if you're an Android user. And you might have heard Tampa Bay Buccaneer legendary quarterback Tom Brady is a co-founder of Autograph. Now, he also played for the Patriots too, from what I understand. But we like him because he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winning a Super Bowl right here at Raymond James Stadium in 2020. And here's the cool thing about Autograph. You can read all of our Pewter Report stories. You can watch the Pewter Report podcasts, all on this app. And you get points for doing so. You actually get rewarded for reading stories and for watching our videos. So that's a great way to earn points. And what can you do with those points? You can cash them in for game tickets, merchandise. So you actually get rewarded for reading Pewter Report content. It doesn't get any better than that. All we ask you to do is just sign up using the promo code Pewter when you sign up. That's it. So download the app for free on Apple or Google Play. Use promo code Pewter to sign up and enjoy Autograph. It's the way fandom should be, where all of the Pewter Report news is right there at your fingertips.
Got another super chat to get to. Thanks to Bucs Basement for this $5 super chat, who said, went to the game. Awesome. That's great. JTS had an awful first half, but improved tremendously. Bowles' time management was still a huge issue. Coen over Canales and not close. Couple things here. Big game by JTS with the sack, the forced fumble. That second sack, too, by Servassier Dennis. There's a case to be made that should have been a half sack for Servassier and a half sack for Joe Tryon. The Todd Bowles 3 timeouts, not using any in the first half. It drove me absolutely nuts. At the end of the second quarter, when the Bucs were near the goal line, it was a 3rd down. The clock's ticking down. They took their sweet-ass time to, finally get lined up and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, they're just letting the clock run down, and then they're going to call a timeout, and then they'll go to 3rd down. No, they just, rushed it, and I think that played into getting the false start penalty. Because at first, I thought they got penalized for a delay of game. And I'm thinking, are you out of your mind? You want to save these timeouts so much that you're willing to lose 5 yards and not call a timeout, even though there's less than 30 seconds to go in the quarter and you have a lead and you're trying to extend that lead? What do you need all those timeouts for? So that drove nuts that they didn't call a timeout in that situation. And yeah, the streak continues. The Bucs refused to call a timeout in the first half.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of crazy. Had a chance to meet a couple awesome Buccaneer fans today. I know Jason De La Torre. I've been here several times. He's a longtime Pewter Report reader going all the way back to the magazine. But I did have a chance to meet Greg DeCruz today. So that was very cool. I've interacted with Greg an awful lot on X and also here in the Pewter Report podcast for sure. It was awesome meeting you. So yeah, if you see me walking up to the stadium, please, just like training camp, come up and say hello. Happy to spend a couple minutes shaking your hand, talking a little Bucs football. So very cool to finally meet you, Greg. I feel like I know you because we've had so many interactions here on the podcast, but awesome. And we appreciate the turnout tonight too. We've got a ton of viewers here. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button, give us a like, also leave a comment, not just here in the chat, but when we're done with the show, leave a comment there. Doing those things really boosts our YouTube algorithm and gets us in front of even more Buccaneer fans. So greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I also want to give a shout out to Angelina S., who said, "What a day today. Woo! Bucs win convincingly, and I won both parlay bets. Great start to the season. Woohoo!" Yeah, it was a fun day all around between the bets. The Falcons lose, the Bucs win. Watching. Obviously, Bucs fans don't want the Saints to play well, but
yeah,
just seeing an absolute
that was inevitable. That was inevitable. Yeah. I mean, they were playing.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. If you're a Bucs fan and you're looking at that Saints Panthers game, there was nothing in that game where I was like, oh my God, like the Saints are, a top-notch team in the NFL this year. Like they hit the deep ball to Rashid Shaheed. They were doing that last season too. Like that's not anything new or that special. The interceptions by Bryce Young in that game were just like 15-yard airmailing it, like 15 yards past where he was supposed to throw it to the receiver, like not even remotely close. So good start for the Saints, but for the Bucs, I still wouldn't be worried that they're going to be a legitimate like playoff contender. Now they still are a thorn in the side of the Bucs, but playing everybody else is where the Saints like truly fall, and I think that'll happen again this year.
I'm with you. Listen, we're just getting started here. We got a couple stories up on pewterreport.com. We have more coming tonight. Make sure you stay tuned for my 2-point conversion, which are probably at first thing in the morning, followed by Bucs mailbag. So we've got some great content coming up. We're going to keep an eye on what Jason Light and Todd Bowles do at the cornerback position. They're going to need one because Bryce Hall is going to go into reserve. So just another podcast tomorrow, man. We're doing this tomorrow, 4:00. And it's, what happens at 4:20. We do this little thing called roll call as well. That we want everybody that's in the chat tonight to join us at 4:20. Even if you're at work, run out to your car, tell your boss you got to take a break and watch us here on YouTube on Pewter Report TV.
And it's the first Victory Monday.
That's right.
Of the 2024 season. There were a couple Victory Mondays in 2024 as the Bucs were victorious, but for the 2024 season, first Victory Monday. Those are always fun. We'll have kind of further thoughts about the game, rewatch some stuff as well. We speak to Todd Bowles again tomorrow, so we'll get some updates on injuries and, obviously start taking a little bit of, attention towards the Bucs next game, but kind of, again, put a bow on the Bucs.
That's right.
Nice opening day win, as Jeff the Champ says, Victory Monday. Yeah, always a fun show on Victory Monday.
Well, it's always fun, too, to enjoy all of the food and all of the TVs at Walk-Ons.
What an amazing comeback, Coach.
You're not kidding. I mean, we did lose the game badly, but coming to Walk-Ons afterward, the team got a much-needed win off the field.
Walk-Ons for the win.
The Buccaneers got to win, and you can win when you go catch at their game day specials, Saturdays and Sundays. Pints, $4.49, 22-ounce pours, $5.99. Of course, that's Michelob Ultra, Bud Light, and Budweiser. Heineken Silver, 12-ounce cans, $5 neutral assorted flavors. So get to Walk-On's 3 locations, Midtown Tampa by the stadium, up by my neck of the woods in the Wesley Chapel Lutz area, across from the Outlet Mall, and Lakeland. And don't forget, Monday through Friday, folks, you're not going to find a better happy hour than a Walk-On's. It starts tomorrow at 3 p.m., and it doesn't end until close. It's a fantastic day to get in there, watch some Monday Night Football, and get the happy hour specials all the way through Monday night games. So it's a great place to go. $3 happy hour pours, $3.99 domestic pints, $4 house wines, a bunch of food selections for $6, $7, $8. Folks, you can't beat that. Tuesday, all day happy hour. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday happy hour as well, starting at 3 o'clock. So make sure you get to Walk-On's 3 locations. And we're just super excited to have them as a partner again.
Yes, we are. By the way, I love this comment from Farouk Kawab, a Pewter Report YouTube channel member, who says, Bucs win. Todd got to keep his timeouts. It was a good week one. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Matt,
And
this was so much fun. Let's do it. Yeah, I was going to say, let's do it again tomorrow at 4 o'clock, shall we?
That's right. Yeah. So everybody, please remember 4 o'clock show tomorrow for the Pewter Report podcast. If you're not already doing so, please follow us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report. And of course, our YouTube channel, which you're on right now, is Pewter Report TV. We got tons of content out, tons of content coming out. The podcast 4 times a week, the game day show, the preview. So many great stuff over on our YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe, leave a comment, help out with the algorithm after as well. And a lot of good stuff like we mentioned. So that's going to do it for us on tonight's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Bucs are 1-0. Out.
Out.